Hi everyone, welcome to my Hunger Games prequel news reaction and discussion video. So I was scrolling through Twitter and then I saw Suzanne Collins was trending, and at first I thought it was the senator from Maine, and I was wondering what she did or say now to make people mad on Twitter. But then I saw it was Suzanne Collins, the author of the Hunger Games series, and then I clicked on it and I saw the top tweet was from The Hollywood Reporter, and it says that Suzanne Collins is bringing readers back to Panem with a prequel set 64 years before the beginning of her Hunger Games trilogy. So that got me really excited, and then I went on to read the article, and it says that the novel, currently entitled, is scheduled for release May 19, 2020. So I was kind of hoping that they say May 8th, 2020, because May 8th, as Hunger Games fans know, that is Katniss's birthday. So Collins said in a statement Monday that she would go back to the years following the so-called Dark Days, the failed rebellion in Panem. With this book, she continues to say that I want to explore the state of nature, who we are, and what we perceive is required for our survival. The Reconstruction period, 10 years after the war, commonly referred to as the Dark Days, as the country of Panem struggles back to its feet, provides fertile ground for characters to grapple with these questions and thereby define their views of humanity. So I'm really excited about this prequel. I think the themes that she's going to explore are very now and very significant and important themes to be discussing, because especially now we're grappling with our ethics and what is right and wrong and what is truth. Like, we can't even agree on what is truth anymore, and we seem to be so divided as a society on which direction our country should go, or what or where should we go as humans, basically, with especially with the issues of climate change and immigration. So I was kind of hoping, and my first understanding of what the prequel would be, and actually re-recording my reaction video, because my first understanding was this was going to be taking place during the Dark Days leading up to the first game. So during the Dark Days, they had a rebellion that failed, and that because of that rebellion, we had the Treaty of Treason that declared the Hunger Games. So I thought that was that. But then, as as a friend explained it to me further, because after I did my reaction video, I saw lots of posts and comments online saying, oh, it's going to be about the 10th Hunger Games, and it's going to be centered around Mags. It actually says that it's going to be 10 years after the Dark Days, not the 10 years of the Dark Days. So yeah, so I mean, that kind of like tempered my excitement a little bit, because as much as I like Mags, and for then just to refresh our memories, Mags is the District 4 victor that volunteered in place of Annie during the Quarter Cal. So as much as I like Mags, I don't think her story would be the most compelling or the most interesting to be writing a prequel about. And for the prequel to be just another Hunger Games, book. So I'm not really too excited about that. But then as I go back and look at the themes of the book, and maybe there's something to the prequel than just focusing on Mag's Hunger Games or somebody else's Hunger Games, because like I kind of agree with some of the other reactors to the news that they would rather see, if they're going to go back to the early years of the Hunger Games, is to see the character of President Snow and how he rise to power. And for me personally, I would also love to see the rise of Alma Coin in District 13. How she rose as a woman who rose into power in District 13 as the commander, and then we know all her fate in Mockingjay, where she turned out to be just another tyrant like President Snow. So I think that would be a more interesting prequel than just doing another Victor's Hunger Games, in my opinion. Or if we're going to do another Hunger Games focused prequel, I mean, maybe the first Quarter Cal would have been a better choice than just the 10th Hunger Games. But we will see. And like I said, what got me more excited again about this prequel is looking back at the themes that she wants to explore in the series. It's about, the state of our nature, who we are, what we perceive as required to do for our survival, and how the characters for this prequel is going to define their views of humanity. So I also saw a comparison with Hulu's adaptation of Handmaid's Tale. So I think this could be that as well, as far as storytelling, wherein the story kind of takes place already during around the time of the 10th Hunger Games, but there's like flashbacks and callbacks to what happened during the dark days and during the first rebellion that failed, and to the rise of the first Hunger Games. So I think that will be exciting as well. And because of the various themes and the heavy themes that Collins wants to tackle in this prequel, I think that this book is going to be more focused on social justice themes and not just like economic issues, because in the first original trilogy, and particularly in the first book, it was more about class division, right? Between the capital and the districts, between merchant and seam. So it's just basically, between rich and poor, economic inequality. So that's why I'm hoping for this new book in the Hunger Games world, is that for it to be a multi-perspective book, because whether it's new characters or whether it's characters that already know, Max, know, Coin, or someone else, that we get a perspective of more than just one character. Because can lightning strike twice in the same place for Suzanne Collins? I mean, as great as a writer she is, characters like Katniss Everdeen comes once in a lifetime, and can she replicate that, or could she even better that? And to anchor her new series around one point of view, the comparisons to Katniss Everdeen will be very inevitable. So I think to avoid that, or to not have that comparison with Katniss Everdeen, is to do it as a multi POV and have like different voices and different leads in the book, and not just one person, especially if she wants to discuss or explore how different characters define their views of humanity, or what each character perceive as what is required for their survival. Because like maybe that's why Max is involved during the 10th Hunger Games, and maybe her games is part of it, because as we know, District 4 is a career district, but during these early days of the Hunger Games, career districts don't exist anymore. But then there's friction between districts, or between the citizens of Panem, of how we survive this new reality where the Hunger Games now exist for 10 years. Are they just gonna accept the new reality and play the game? So like there's so there are the districts that become career districts, that some of them like even volunteer for the games and see it as a glory, or some are just still resisting the new normal, that they don't want to accept that the Hunger Games and Panem is their new world, it's the new normal. So, and because of like all these things that you also want to discuss in this book, I really hope that this time the prequel is going to be more intersectional when discussing these different themes. Because like I said, the first book largely, when discussing the economic inequality, is just like between rich and poor, the capital and the districts, merchant and seam, but there was no discussion or layers of racial inequality or gender biases within the discussion of economic inequality. And like even back then, people kind of just assume, gender and racial equality was already achieved in Panem because this is the future. But you can't have economic inequality without racial inequality, without gender inequality. That just doesn't work. So yeah, I really hope that this time when she's tackling certain themes or certain issues, there's going to be more intersectionality in them, and that goes also with having more diversity in the book. Because for me, the original trilogy was a diverse series, but it wasn't an explicit diverse series. So, because like with the character descriptions, like with Katniss, she has olive skin and gray eyes and straight black hair, and people kind of like debate, what is she? Is she Native American? Is she a Latina? Is she Asian? Is she, just a mixed race? Or is she white? Or is she, African American? So I feel like this time it's better to have a more explicit representation for the characters, especially for the main characters in this new series. And I think that would go a long way for it to be more relevant now than if it just followed the same formula of the Hunger Games when it comes to, introducing characters and describing them to us in a very vague, ambiguous way. So that said, wanting multi-POV, be more intersectional with the tackling of the heavy themes that Suzanne Collins wants to discuss in this book, and having more explicit diversity, I hope that this prequel, I mean, it's going to be unlikely, but I hope the prequel is not going to be a YA anymore. I hope this book is going to be just a straight up adult novel. Just because, the fans of the book have already grown up. It's been 10 years since the first book. And so I think it would be better, it would cater to a more older audience. Even then, we have the original trilogy to introduce the series to the younger audience, if that was the concern, to still keep it, would be more focused for the young adults. Even then, Hunger Games had a universal appeal, even though it was, marketed and written specifically for a young adult audience. And I think it was even supposed to be middle grade. But the thing is, though, the hindrance within that is Suzanne Collins had to simplify a lot of the themes and a lot of the lessons, a lot of the development arcs of the book, for it to be easily consumed by the target demographic. So I kind of hope that this time she just going to do a straight up adult novel so she could dig deeper into all the issues and all the themes that she wants to explore. And the article says there's no title for this prequel yet. And the thing is, they didn't even mention if the prequel was just going to be one book or if it's going to be a trilogy. But what we know from Suzanne Collins, when she first wrote the first Hunger Games, she initially just wanted to write one book. But then after finishing the first book, she realized that she can't tackle everything that she wants to tackle in one book. So she made it into a trilogy. So hopefully this would be the case for this one as well. And as for titles, she doesn't come up with her own titles as far as we know, and at least based on the first trilogy, it was her publishers or her agent or her editor that helped her come up with the titles. She didn't come up with them on her own. So I think this is going to be the same case this time. That Scholastic is probably going to give the title for her books, but hopefully we'll have a title announcement and a cover announcement really soon, hopefully before the end of the year. But I think that won't happen until early next year, hopefully. So yeah, I'm really excited about the books. I'm excited to be talking about the books again and the series again. This holds a special place in my heart. I've been a big fan of it since 2012, and even though the fandom or interest in the series kind of waned after the movies ended, I still have a very special attachment to it, and I'm so glad that it's back. We have a new book to look forward to, and it's really exciting. And I can't wait for the midnight release parties, the book discussions online, and everything. And I can't wait. I'm very excited for it, for Suzanne Collins' book tour, so everything. So I can't wait for May 19th to come, and I hope to discuss these books with everyone here on YouTube. I really hope to continue discussing the books with you all, especially what we can expect from the prequel in the coming days leading up to the release of the book. I'll be coming up with at least 2 more Hunger Games prequel videos in the next few days. Hopefully, have any comments or reactions to my reaction, please write them down below. I would definitely reply to all your comments. So thanks again for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.